Get going. All right. Who wants to tell me about their weekend? Who had some cool stuff happen?
I did.
All right. You're first.
My friend that I mentioned to you, I actually redid her CMA because it looks like I never put the pendings in and I haven't seen the right pricing coming up. And her house is actually probably worth around 520, so she's ready to list it.
So even though she paid 500, she's going to give all the increase to you.
No. She paid 470 for it.
Oh, let's list that thing.
Yeah. That's it for me.
Good stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
See, also, not knowledge creates opportunity, or sharing of knowledge creates opportunity, right? So just to catch everyone up, this is a friend of Alma's that bought a home for like 470, new construction, what, about a year ago?
Yes.
Okay, she's moved to France, and the place is worth 520 now. Okay, so it's appreciated over 10% in the last year. That doesn't mean every home has appreciated 10% in the last year, but this is a woman who didn't think she had made any money. Alma does 20 minutes of research, and she's created herself a $500,000 listing. That is awesome. Great work. Okay, who else?
Thank you.
Who else?
I showed a house to some clients who were referred to me by somebody I just closed.
Okay.
They gave me that referral on the day they were closing. And I took them and showed them a property because they're in the $250,000 price point, and we all know that's brutal. So I took them and I showed them a property from one of my investors that hasn't been started yet. And so I think I sold both of them. I sold my listing that I'll have in 6 months, 6 months early, and found these people a house and got them, put in a house that they're not having a bidding war for.
Right. Now, just out of curiosity, there's one thing you said which kind of makes me a tiny bit nervous, which is I think it is your duty to make sure that the seller gets more money for the home, I think it's your duty to verify that the seller is getting the maximum dollars for the home. So without putting it on the open market, it might be difficult to assess that. Does that make sense?
I added value for that to the house.
Okay. Beautiful. As long as the seller is basically told, hey, look, if we put it on the open market, there's 1 month of supply. It's probably going to get bid up, and multiple offers, and you're probably going to get a pretty solid offer, right, or proposal. Now, if we sell it behind closed doors, only one person knows about the home being available. So if we're going to be willing to do that, I want to verify. I want to be pretty certain that I'm getting the best deal I could possibly get from a buyer, even though there's just one. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And if the seller says,
well, I accounted for that, and this is a good deal for the investor because it would be already under contract and sold. So he's, obviously he's incentivized to get it done sooner. Mm-hmm. And he is, he's getting top dollar for it.
Beautiful. I was saying that mostly for I know you know that. I just saying it for everyone else's benefit. So good job on that, Jan. All right, let's do one more. Who else had some what's that?
I said, we'll see. Everybody's going to sign contracts, so.
Yeah, there are humans involved. If there weren't humans involved, this business would be a whole lot easier, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and I want to give a shout out to Corey. I don't think she's on here, but she set open house for me this weekend and Saturday and Sunday, and she did an amazing job.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. Okay, let's do one more. Who else wants to share?
Nothing to report, but I do have a question for you, Bill. I was actually showing some buyers some homes yesterday. Can you explain what a kickout clause, or what a kickout clause is? It was explained to me. I'm pretty sure I got it, but I was showing some homes. I was talking to the listing agents, and there was some kick-out clauses that came up. And can you just go over that real quick, what they are, and kind of use a couple of us as examples of how that would be?
Yes. So let's say I'm the seller and you are my original buyer. So we have entered into a contract. We are binding. And the language of that contract basically states that you have it's a contingency. So oftentimes it would be contingent upon, let's say, you selling your other home.
Me selling my old.
So you close on your other home, and therefore when that happens, you'll have the capital to purchase my listing or my personal property, right? Now, a kick-out is it's kind of a middle ground between no contingency and a contingency on the sale of the home. What a kick-out implies is that we would list the home contingent kick-out, which is what you might have seen in FMLS. And what that means is that the home, it is under contract. It is legally under contract. However, if Michael, let's say, wants to buy the home, then he can submit an offer. And usually the kickouts I've seen them as low as 48 hours and as high as, it's usually 2 to 3 days.
It was 48 hours in both cases, actually.
Okay. So two days. So then Michael would submit an offer. Let's say I'm the listing agent of the property. I'd say, okay, thanks, Michael, for the offer. As you know, we have a contingency kickout, so I'll be back to you in a couple of days, right? And then I would present that offer to John's buyer's agent, and not the offer itself, but I would notify him, hey, we've received a bona fide offer, and you now have 48 hours to release your contingency. Okay. If you do not release your contingency within that 48 hours, then I have the ability to pursue a contract with Michael. If you do release the contingency, then Michael is not in the picture, or
still primary.
He's there. I mean, I can still speak with him, but the home is not available. Basically, it's still under contract.
Why would you not have a kick out as a seller? Why would you not have a kick out?
I think that's a great question. I don't see a lot of disadvantages to that.
To the seller,
have a poor agent representing you.
Pam, what was that?
I said because you have a poor agent representing you on your list.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
mean, in this market, I wouldn't probably be accepting many contingencies anyway.
Right.
Now, the other thing is oftentimes this assumes that you're not going to get sued, which isn't that great of an assumption. But in all of my time in real estate, I've never seen somebody sue in lieu of collecting earnest money. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I'm just saying it doesn't happen that often. Okay. So for example, let's say John was buying a $400,000 house and he had $4,000 of earnest money at stake. And he's selling a $300,000 house, and his buyer has $3,000 at stake. Meaning that if his buyer flakes and causes John not to be able to buy my place, he would get $3,000 because his buyer flaked, and he'd lose $4,000 because he flaked on me. So oftentimes, especially if you're transacting two deals, the earnest monies are going to largely account for one another. Especially if you're going down in price. Let's say you're selling a $500,000 house, right? And John's buyer has $5,000 at stake. That buyer would lose that, and John's buying a $300,000 condo or something, then he would actually not lose any money. So it depends on there's just a lot to be assessed. So for example, when I bought my townhome like 5 years ago, like I'm an independent contractor. I'm a business owner. Like there was no I was relying on tax returns that were already in the past that had already been filed and assessed, right? And I was well qualified for the amount of money that I was looking to loan or borrow. So I wasn't going to quote lose my job, right? So in an effort of being competitive, I didn't have a financing contingency because I already knew I was going to get the loan, right? I wasn't worried about a job loss. So in some situations, I wasn't trying to sell a home to buy that one, but I wouldn't have been so worried about it anyway because I knew the financing was pretty tight. You see what I'm saying? So there's not every time, like you may get a better deal. You probably will get a better deal if you don't have, the contract littered with contingencies and, everything that your agent has, gotten screwed over with in their entire career. They've got 65 special stipulations because they've had 65 bad experiences. No one's taken that deal. Does that make sense?
It does.
John, does that thoroughly answer your question?
Oh, it does. Absolutely. Oh, it certainly does, Bill. Thank you.
Okay. Any thoughts or issues on that? Anyone want to add anything?
I'm going to be real. I didn't get the Kickout thing, but I can look it up or talk to someone later.
A Kickout is basically, in short, a way for the seller to have the opportunity to continue to market the home under contract with a Kickout. So it could attract additional buyers that don't have that need. And if a buyer comes to, like we used Michael comes to the table and says, hey, you got a contingency Kickout, I want to buy this home. Mm-hmm. That's going to force John to either leave the deal because he's not willing to release his contingency, or he's going to have to release his contingency.
Got it. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Bill. One more follow-up question, real quick. And now, is a Kickout only exercised in the existence of with a backup offer, or even if there's no offer, can a backup offer? Can a seller exercise their Kickout rights?
So backup offer is not the right language there, because backup offer. How do I explain this? Like, Michael didn't have a backup offer. He just had another offer. A backup offer is an accepted offer.
Okay. So
we would not have accepted Michael's offer because Michael is going to, I need to deal with you first. Make sense?
That does.
Now, if for example, you released your contingency and we're moving forward with you, we'll call you offer one. And Michael says, well, I want to be in backup position. Then we would go and negotiate with Michael in backup position. And if we were fine with the terms we were agreeing on, we just execute that. Then we would have a backup offer. But that's not the right wording to use. Does everyone follow that?
Yep.
I got a question around that. So if I've got a Kickout and someone comes to me with an offer, I don't negotiate that deal until I've released the other one. Because what if they're like offering me $50,000? I'm not going to go there. You know what I mean?
What if they're offer? Well, first of all, you have to resolve offer one before you can deal with offer two. Offer two allows you to go back to offer one and say, hey, I need you to make a decision, and you got 2 days to do it. But you can't go to offer one and say, hey, offer two's better, you're done. The seller doesn't have that ability.
Well, what I'm saying is, what if it's the other? What if I've got offer one locked up, say it's for ease $100, and I have to let him go, but then I go to offer the second offer.
I don't want to pick apart your words, but you're not letting him go. He's choosing to leave. The seller doesn't have the ability to let anyone go.
Right. So if he chooses not to, he's choosing to leave. I'm giving him the opportunity to choose to leave, right? By coming to him and saying, resolve this in your way. Pay or leave. He chooses to leave. Then I go back to the one that came in and said, hey, I've got an offer and it's horrible. Don't I want to examine what's coming at me before I exercise the option to say,
that's a really good question. I have not yet discussed that with you guys. So that's a negotiation, that's a decision that you and your listing agent would have to make, right? Because you don't want to cause a bona fide offer that you actually liked to go away if the second offer is not something that you believe you can come to terms with. So I've actually never been involved in a situation like this personally, but you're not obligated to go back to the offer number one and say release your contingency unless you choose to. So it's not an automated thing that offer two comes in and all of a sudden you got to approach offer one. It's if you choose to exercise the kick out, then offer one has to deal with that.
Right.
That's a good question.
I guess my point is, don't I want to talk to my seller about what the offer that's coming in before we determine whether or not to exercise the kickout?
Of course.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's what I was
absolutely.
confused about.
And that goes to one other point, which is your job is not to make the decisions. Your job is to gather the information for your client so that you can allow them the ability to make the decision. So
Right.
we don't go and say, okay, we got multiple offers, highest and best, right? You go to your seller and say, hey, typically when we have multiple offers, we will give everyone an opportunity for highest and best. Let me quickly explain to you the risks here. Let me quickly explain to you the benefits here. Which direction would you like to go?
Right.
Makes sense.
Yes.
So we don't just like bulldoze over the client because we're like in a hurry. We have to make sure that every step of the way, the client has the ability to make the choice. And they're only going to be able to make a sophisticated choice when they got all the answers, or as many answers as they can get, right? All right, cool. Well, I did a lot of planning this weekend, you guys. A lot of planning. I want to thank the 29 people who have graciously completed the survey. And I want to request of the other 35 of you to take a couple of moments and do the survey. I sat down with Aubrey on Friday, and we have set some people might say this is a stretch goal. I easily think it's accomplishable. Is that a word? I think it's doable for sure. Of the 29 people that have already submitted their annual goals, if those 29 people get 50% of their goals, we've already exceeded our number. Okay. So I'm going to be telling you a little bit about my plan, little by little, so that I can make it nice and pretty and graphical for you. But my goal in this group is to sell 477 homes next year. 477 homes. Okay. Now you might think that's a lot, but I don't think that's that many. If we're over 100 agents in the PC program, which is easily doable, that's barely five a person. Okay. And I know many of us have substantially higher goals than that. So what I did is I was doing some business planning for the group. So let's go back to the super basics. When you're thinking through your business plan, what are the things that you're evaluating? What are you processing? Walk me through that.
Time limits.
Time, I love that. What else?
Is it realistic?
Who said that? Darlene? Mm-hmm. It's only not realistic if you think it's not realistic. Mm-hmm. Right? And whatever the plan is, it's going to have an amount of time that it's going to take to execute that plan. And then you have to look at the amount of time and say, do I have enough time, given all my other commitments, to pull this off? So if it required you speaking to 75 people a day and going on 4 appointments a day, and you're a solo agent, yeah, it's probably not going to happen. But for a well-oiled, well-leveraged team, there's definitely listing agents that go on 4 appointments a day. Does that make sense?
It does.
So everything is possible. You just got to look at your bandwidth or the team's bandwidth. Okay. Okay. So time, is it possible? What else? What other metrics do we use, or what other systems have you has anyone started to scribble down some ideas for 2021? What are you writing typically?
For me, I'm putting my end goal, like my financial end goal, and the different things that I might be doing to achieve that.
Okay.
So a dollar amount and how many clients I need or transactions I need to get to that final dollar amount, and then the steps that I'm going to take to make those transactions happen.
Okay, perfect. One way that we talked about this was to build out the business GPS. And let me take a quick peek at everyone here real fast. So with maybe 1 or 2 exceptions, I would say that the GPS should be the 3 ways that you intend to lead generate. Okay. As you continue to build your business, one of the legs of that GPS should be the leverage leg, which is, okay, I'm starting to create a bunch of chaos here and I'm having a hard time controlling all the chaos myself. So how am I going to find an admin? Who am I going to deal with for a contract to close? Or who's going to do some of my technology efforts, right? Who's going to build out my presentations? Who's going to, maintain my database, that kind of stuff. Okay. So what I've suggested is you go through and you think really hard, and almost everyone in here, I've asked this one-on-one, is what are the 3 ways that you want to generate leads this year? What are the 3 ways? So let me just rattle off a bunch of different ways. Okay. There's no right answer. There's no wrong answer. There's people that will build their business incredibly successfully using one and never make a cold call, and that's totally fine. So expired listings, for sale by owners. Generally, those are going to be your hottest leads. They have a house, they want to sell the house, they haven't been successful yet. They also are the most attractive to the agent population, and that's why they're getting clobbered with calls. Okay, circle prospecting, open houses, pay-per-click, Facebook ads, networking groups, business to business, referral networks. That could be local referral networks or national or international referral networks. You could have client events. You could have social media, right? Door knocking. So these are just a long list of ways that you can initiate a conversation with another person who might want to buy a home or sell a home or invest in a home. We do home buyer seminars, right? These kind of things. You could go to, yeah, we'll skip that. So does anyone have any questions on that list? So then you should say to yourself, what am I really good at, right? What do I like doing, right? I don't want to do a bunch of stuff I don't want to do. Let's start with the things that I do want to do. Okay. So, Greta, can I use our conversation this morning as an example?
Absolutely.
Okay. So Greta is, she's relatively new to the business. She's still testing out how she likes to spend her time and what she enjoys doing, etc. But one thing that we know for sure is she enjoys being belly to belly with people. Okay. She much prefers that to pounding the phones with a bunch of strangers. Okay. Do you think it's possible for her to build an incredible real estate business that way?
I think so, yes, because just the way when I listened to Mrs. Heather, is her name Heather, right, the other day, we had a little Zoom with her. Yes. She said that she generates almost all of her business through open houses, because she also likes to be with people. She likes to communicate, and I resonated with that too, because I'm the same way. I don't like cold calls. I'm doing them, but I'm not a fan. But I hopefully in the future I will be able to just expand and just do open houses and meet people that way.
Yeah, I think that's I appreciate that. So, it's an incredibly large, incredibly successful business that way. So what we suggested is, hey, let's just go through your database. You like having cocktails with people. You like having coffees with people. Okay, how about a 9 o'clock coffee, an 11 o'clock coffee, a 1 o'clock coffee, a 3 o'clock coffee? Like, after, late in the afternoon, 3 o'clock coffee, the 5 o'clock cocktail, right? And if that's the way you want to interact with people, by all means, right? In those conversations, you exhibit friendliness, trustworthiness, hardworking. You explain how much fun you're having. You explain how much you're learning. You explain how well connected you are. And the leads start flowing in because people want to support people that they have fun with, right? So that's like akin to saying, okay, Michael, you want to play golf all day? Great. If you can meet enough people playing golf, fantastic. If you can't meet enough people playing golf, you need to do something else, right? It's that simple. So what I want you to do is think about what you enjoy doing. Do you enjoy meeting people belly to belly? Do open houses. Okay. Do you enjoy like analyzing different Facebook ads and seeing what generates the most clicks? Do social media. If that stuff intimidates you and you can't pay somebody to do it for you instead, then work on something different. You see what I'm saying? Yes. So let's start by saying, what are the three ways that we in 2021 intend to find our business? Okay. And I want you to identify those three. And then below each one of those is going to be the strategies. Okay. We're basically building out the GPS. Now, I have a document that I've shared with a couple of you guys. It's kind of like this working document that I've been working on. It's got about 6 or 7 different ways to generate business and a number of strategies underneath each one. So let's take open houses, for example. I'll share that with everyone today. Okay, let's take open houses, for example. Michael, you want to do open houses. All right, so next thing we have to look at is how do we know that we're prepared to do open houses, right? What are the systems that we should have with open houses? How do we know we're doing enough of them? How do we know we're booking enough meetings, right? So, Michael, talk to me about everything that happens leading up to the open house. Talk to me about everything that happens on that day. Talk to me about everything that happens after that day, right? So we say, I guess we need some systems. Okay, what do we do on Monday? Like Heather said, I don't pick the open house and, I need to know how long it's been on the market for. And if I can't get it by Tuesday, I'm not going to do it, right? So when somebody basically says on Saturday morning, no offense to anyone that has done this, hey, maybe I should have an open house on at the house on Sunday. That is completely non-strategic, okay? That you should not be treating your business like an afterthought, okay? That is not going to get you the type of result. If you decided on Saturday to do an open house on Sunday and then you did one of them and you had 2 people show up and then you say, well, open house didn't work for me, you're not paying attention, okay? That's not fair.
Bill, quick question. Bill, I got a question too.
Uh-oh, I started pissing people off. Go ahead.
You want to go first, Greta? Yeah, I'll go. My thing is with open house, it's really out of my hands, right? It's not my listing at this point. I have to prospect for open houses. And then everyone has different systems in place. Like I've hosted a few. I've hosted one where they had flyers prepared. They, did everything, got everything ready for me. It was awesome. And then I had another one that said, hey, here's your open house. Go for it. No flyer, no preparation, just sent me the address and said, show up. Go get balloons for me, go buy signs for me, and then nothing.
Well, you have an opportunity.
It's very, it is out of your control.
I don't know if I agree with that. If I can politely disagree with you, I would say that everything is in your control.
Of course.
So you decide which agents' open houses you want to host. So if that agent was lax on preparation and it put too much of a burden on you, then don't support that person's open houses anymore. Okay. Or you could say, well, gosh, you could look at that and say, oh my gosh, they didn't leave me anything.
You have total freedom then at that point.
Or you could look at that and say, wow, I'm going to create the flyer. I'm going to go pass out 200 of them to the neighbors. I'm going to make all the phone calls. I'm going to control this, right? So you get full control over the pre-open house strategy, the day of open house strategy, and the post-open house strategy. Now, the day of, maybe not, like they may want you to sign in a certain way or whatever, but if they're going to be hands-off, it's totally up to you. So we examine.
I agree with that now, but as a new agent, it was handed to me on a Friday evening to do on a Saturday morning.
Yeah, I don't know who that agent was, but I would tell them to their face that's not intentional behavior. Okay. And if they continue to host,
that was a learning opportunity for me.
And if their seller knew that it was that, like, oh, I think I'll do one on Sunday, they would be embarrassed, and they should be. Okay.
Corey did my open houses this weekend, and there's some of the things that she said to me. I realized that in moving forward, I need to let the newer agents know these things. Guys, when you're doing open house for somebody, you're not generating business for that person. You're generating business for yourself.
Very good point.
you know, if there are agents in the office, I'm not going to mention names, and they want you generating business for them. Well, that's not a good use of your time. You know, if they want you to generate business for them, then they need to hire you and pay you. But if you're sitting in somebody's open house, then you need to be doing everything you can to generate business for yourself. And that means taking out ads, doing your flyers, buying your balloons, getting your signs out, you know, Friday night or you know, at least a day before. And, you know, you're generating business for yourself, not the agent who holds the listing. And that, you know, that is the I think a misconception with new agents is that you're supposed to be doing it for them. It's like Corey sent me flyers. They were lovely flyers that she did, but my name and picture were on them. They were great. Of course, they look awesome in my picture, but it's not doing anything for Corey. And that's the whole point of her sitting in my open house, because if I want to generate business for myself, I need to do the work.
That was really well said. I appreciate you sharing that.
I'm sorry. I completely agree with Jen. I realize that I'm representing the listing agent when I host their open house, but otherwise, business is all mine. Whatever comes in, it's up to me to, you know, kind of gather it, nurture it, follow up.
Right. So let's go back to this.
Well, and that's the thing is, we don't know that. I didn't know that, but now I do. So it's not something that's been explicitly taught or explained, and maybe that's something that needs to be explained. Like it was Jan. I hosted for Jan, and she did everything for me. And I really was trying to stay back because I didn't want to step on her toes because it's her listing. But now I know more, you know.
So that's one of the benefits of being in a group like this, is that when you see when you're offered an opportunity that, you know, you just double check it with somebody. Hey, is this typical? Hey, you know, I used to do open houses for agents at my old company 15 years ago, and they'd want the report of everyone that walked in. And when that person transacted, I had to pay a referral fee for borrowing the listing. Okay. That was commonplace a while back. It's not so commonplace anymore. Right now.
So I'm,
go ahead.
Sorry. Bill, I just wanted to ask you, I'm sorry, you know, I'm brand new. I'm also confused. So basically, if I host an open house for somebody else, for a listing agent, so all the people that sign in for the, you know, and I communicate with and stuff, is that basically, I mean, what do
Unless
I give to the listing agent? Oh, so
you need to have a conversation with every listing agent that gives you that opportunity to say, just want to double check, just so there's no confusion and any issue down the road. Anyone that comes in is fully mine. Is that correct? So notice how I said, do I have to pay you a referral fee on any of this? That was not the question I asked. The question I asked was, everything that walks in the door is mine. Is that correct? Right? In one scenario, I assumed that it was mine because I'm not working if it's not mine. And the other one, I acted like I didn't know anything, and I just asked a bad question. Make sense? Because somebody might say, well, gosh, I didn't really think about a referral fee. Yeah, I'll take 20%. Thanks. All right, I think Victoria was trying to ask something a minute ago.
Yeah, so if an agent comes to us and says on, you know, Friday or Saturday, hey, I have an open house for this weekend, you know, do you want to take it? It sounds like what you're saying is that that's not necessarily like the best opportunity. So at that point, should maybe we be asking for like a service fee or something like that because he waited to the last minute?
No. I think that look, there's different levels of open houses, if you will, right? There's a document in the Google Drive that describes this in detail. But like waking up on Sunday, buying a couple of balloons, sticking out one rider is like the most basic of levels of open houses. Could you end up getting a couple people that come in and be great clients forever? Sure. Okay. But if you want a better shot at having more opportunity and you want to leverage that opportunity bigger, then you just need more time. But if the option is go to an open house that I don't have a lot of time to work because I was offered it on Saturday, versus sitting at home and bitching about not having any business, then I would pick the first one. Okay. But if I was given the opportunity of getting an open house notification on Saturday versus the previous Tuesday, I would take the Tuesday one 100 times out of 100. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so let's go back to this document because I'm going to send this out here shortly. Okay.
No, can I interrupt? Sorry, we're out of time. Did you send an email out yesterday?
No, I'm going to send it out today. I apologize. Today's the last day of the recording period, so I was trying to line them up. So I will send that out today. For everyone, please remember, fill out the survey, post your numbers, catch up if you need to. Please don't make me chase you down. Just post the numbers. Okay. I'm working on my plans for the PC group, so I need to know what y'all's goals are. Just really quickly, when you get this document, I know we're a few ahead. If we're a few over, if you need to leave, I get it. Okay, when you get this document, I want you to look at the different strategy or the different priorities, the different ways you can find business, and then look to the strategies below them. When you look to the strategies below them, these are the questions you should be asking yourself. Okay, how do I know I'm winning? Okay, you're going to know you're winning by one of two things. Either there is a metric attached to it, or there is a deadline attached to it. So for example, building my pre-open house strategy, that is a task, that is a project that needs a deadline. Okay, I will have that done by December 20th. Okay, building my post-open house strategy, that's a project, needs a deadline. I'm going to do it by the 22nd of December. I'm going to do 4 open houses a month until I'm done with this business. That is not a deadline, that's ongoing, so it needs a metric, it needs a number. So I should be able to look at that, your list, and say, metric or deadline, metric or deadline. That's how you're going to know you're winning. Okay, and then all the stuff that appears on that list, you just need to put into your calendar, right? So Tuesday, you look at your calendar and says, hey, select an open house. Let's move to Sunday. Am I able to do an open house? Should I do one on Saturday instead? Right? Remember, if we treat our business like a hobby, it will pay us like a hobby. Right? If we are strategic and intentional and resourceful, we will have a bigger business than we ever dreamed we were capable of having. Does that make sense? So there's no rules again on which systems you have to use to obtain clients or to generate leads. I'm going to send this list. If you want to add any comments or give me any feedback, I'm happy to hear them. Remember, the strategies are going to talk about how do I know I'm winning? And you're going to win by finishing a project by a certain deadline, or by satisfying on an ongoing basis the metric that you've established that causes you to either to win. Okay. So for example, I'm going to call circle prospecting. Okay, great. I'm going to get my scripts together by tomorrow. I'm going to practice my scripts every day with this person at this time. And then I'm going to make as many calls as necessary to add 5 people to my database and 2 to my pipeline every day. And I'm going to have a board with all my running list of my pipeline in front of me at all times. And if I do all that stuff, I will crush circle prospecting and I will hit my goals in terms of using that strategy, or to use the right language, that priority to hit the goal. The goal oftentimes is either, there's a lot of different goals, but oftentimes either it is a financial goal. I want to make this number of dollars, right? Because that easily breaks down into activity, or it is a number of families, like number of units. I want to sell 20 homes. Okay. To have a nice life, it's hard to tell whether you're winning or not. It's got to be metrics. It's got to be numbers. Okay. That way we can break it down and dissect it on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly basis. Does that make sense? This plan is also applicable for any type of goal that you have. Let's say you want to read a certain number of books each year, or let's say you want to lose a certain amount of weight, or let's say you want to save up enough money for an investment home, right? What are the 3 ways you're going to get money, right? So you can use this GPS, the 1-3-5 structure, for a lot of different ways. So I will send you this list a little bit later today. look out for the weekly email, and please make sure that everything is updated. If you are on this call right now and you've not done the survey, please complete the survey. If you're brand new to the group and there's some questions that you feel are not applicable, just put a little dot in there so it says that you've answered the question, and we'll move on. Okay. Again, I appreciate everyone's energy and time, and I'll see you soon.
Have a great day.
So long, everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
You too.
Bye.